right? And also, even if something's a really bad game, like I'm going to be honest with you, I do not think that RuneScape in the state that it is right now, RS3, I do not think it's a good game objectively. Objectively, I do not think it's a good game. I think there's a lot of design flaws. I think that the economy is just kind of chaotic. I think that Jagex just doesn't give a fuck about power creep and they're just really reckless about it. But that doesn't mean that you can't have fun with it, right? That doesn't mean that there's not fun mechanics. That doesn't mean that I'm not enjoying myself playing the game. I just objectively, if I compare it to like other games, I just don't think it's objectively a good game. Objectively, it's lacking in new players. Yeah, exactly. That's another thing, right? That doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it. So, but yeah, a lot of fan bases get like that. You know what I mean? Old school RuneScape does the same thing. Like if you criticize something, like a lot of times people like kind of lose their minds. Objectively, RS is an idle game in denial. Yeah, true in a lot of ways. Right? Like when you have all these content designed around being AFK, and when the community appreciates stuff being AFK so much, right? Like it's because the content isn't that good, right? If the content was good, you would want to interact with it, right? And you would want to like Monster Hunter would not be a good game if it was AFK, right? But it's just the gameplay is so good and so interactive that I want to play through it. I don't want to skip through it. I don't want an easy way out. Where all the new content in RS is about getting an easy way out, right? So anyways, objectively, there's a lot of issues with RS, but that doesn't mean just because that's the case, right? Just because that's the case, that doesn't mean that it's like that you can't enjoy the game. Like, I can say that RuneScape's a bad game and still enjoy playing it. You know what I mean? Which might sound counterintuitive, but it's true. Like, you can enjoy it. Like, again, okay, here's a good example. There's a game I used to play on the PlayStation 2. It was called Colosseum Road to Freedom. Colosseum Road to Freedom. This is probably the worst designed fighting game I have ever played, right? The content is super repetitive, right? You just do the same thing over and over again, right? There's a few like bosses in there, but they pretty much have the same mechanics, right? Like you train up your stats, right? You fight animals, you fight people, you fight whatever. It's the most repetitive shit ever, right? There's no there's a little bit of a storyline, but it's like the same like Roman gladiator thing where you're trying to like assassinate the emperor or whatever. It's like the same thing from the Gladiator movie and anything with gladiators, right? This game is terrible, right? Objectively, this game is terrible, right? But one time when I was a kid, my mom rented this for me from Family Video, and I played the hell out of this game. I eventually ended up buying it used from GameStop back in the day for my PS2. I played the hell out of it. Right? I enjoyed playing it, but objectively, this is a terrible game, right? The combat is not that interactive. It's basically just like block slash, like I think it was like circle on the PlayStation controller was slash right, like square was slash left, right? Triangle was up, X was down, right? Super, like that was basically the whole thing about the game, right? The weapons, there was no difference other than just attack speed and damage. Like if you had a big weapon, then it would be slow and hit hard. If you had a small weapon, then it would be fast, right? Like super bare bones shit. Not very interactive. As far as fighting games are concerned, this is a terrible game. Terrible. But when I was a kid, I enjoyed it. And honestly, just out of nostalgia, if I had it and I had a PlayStation 2 lying around, I'd probably play it, right? But yeah, it was the same thing every time. And basically you'd earn money so you could buy better weapons, and then you'd climb up the ranks so you'd fight harder and harder things. But there was no like actual, like the difficulty, all the difficulty was just like the things hit harder and they took more damage, right? So yeah, memory card slots in the case, right? But that's my point. This is a perfect example of a game that is objectively terrible, right? That is objectively terrible, but I enjoyed it, right?